Have you ever wondered why some people can read just one book, have one single experience, or meet one person, and walk away with a treasure chest of lessons? Meanwhile, others read dozens of books, attend countless seminars, yet their lives remain unchanged. The difference doesn't lie in how much knowledge they consume. It lies in how they transform what they learn into a living part of themselves. Some people merely collect information, while others turn each experience into living wisdom, into actions, into concrete steps that shape their journey. In today's video, we're going on a journey from shallow learning to deep learning. From simply knowing to truly living with knowledge. You'll see that learning isn't just about finishing another book. It's about transforming that book into a living part of your life. This is why the Different Thinking channel exists. Here, I want to explore with you fresh perspectives, practical insights, and inspiring ideas, so that every concept you hear today can become an action that transforms your tomorrow. And before we begin, I have a small gift for you. If you find this video valuable, hit subscribe to Different Thinking today. As a thank you, I prepared a free ebook titled Practical Mindset in 7 Steps. You can download it right now from the description or pinned comment below. Inside, you'll find distilled knowledge that you can start applying tonight. Don't miss this opportunity, because sometimes, one small habit can shape an entirely different future for you. Here's something most people overlook. Knowledge itself is just raw material. It's like having a kitchen stocked with fresh ingredients. If you don't know how to cook, they'll just sit there, never becoming a nourishing meal. Learning is the same. Reading books, attending workshops, listening to podcasts, all of that is just collecting ingredients. The real value only appears when we cook, when we transform what we've absorbed into actions and experiences of our own. Think back to the last time you read a great book. Did you pause to take notes? Did you try to apply even one idea the very next day? Or did you simply close the book, put it back on the shelf, and weeks later couldn't even remember what it was about? The difference lies in action. One person might read 100 books yet change nothing, while another may take just one idea, one single chapter, and use it to start a project, build a habit, or even create a turning point in their career. I remember once reading a book about the flipped classroom method. Instead of waiting to finish the entire book, I paused at a single chapter, realized it was relevant, and the very next day, I tried applying it by recording my first lecture video. It was a small step, but it opened the door to an entire journey later on. The process of transforming knowledge requires initiative. It can start with something small, jotting down a few notes, testing out a new habit, or sharing an idea with someone else. Each time you do this, knowledge stops living on the page or in a lecture. It becomes part of who you are. That's why the secret isn't in how much you learn, but in how much you learn to live differently. If all you do is save notes or highlight text without acting on it, the knowledge still belongs to the author. It has never truly belonged to you. And perhaps the most important question you can ask yourself after every learning experience is, what will I turn this into tomorrow? Knowledge only gains real value when it's applied. You can take dozens of pages of notes, save hundreds of videos, but if you simply store them without using them, they remain lifeless, just ink on paper or files on your phone. What matters isn't how much you know, but what you do with what you know. Someone might watch 10 workout tutorials and never exercise, nothing changes. Meanwhile, another person learns just 3 moves, puts them into practice immediately, and transforms their body in a few weeks. Many young people stop at collecting information. They save slides, snap photos of lectures, highlight passages in books, but rarely go back to truly practice. They feel as if they've learned, but in reality, they've only reached the first stage. Application doesn't have to be a big leap. Sometimes it's just one small action. Right away, you read about a new communication technique? Try it in tomorrow's meeting. You hear about a new AI tool? Open your laptop and test it out for 5 minutes. It's these small, repeated actions that create real change. It's like planting seeds. You don't need a forest right away. Just plant one seed, nurture it daily, and over time you'll see growth. I remember once watching a short TikTok video about turning text into mind maps using AI. Instead of saving it for later, I opened my laptop and tried it immediately. It took just 5 minutes, but I discovered a tool that changed the way I work. The truth is, You don't need to apply everything, you just need to apply one thing that fits. A book may have 10 chapters, but sometimes just one is enough to change your life, if you dare to turn it into action. So after every learning experience, ask yourself, what's one thing I can try today? The answer might seem small, but it's what determines whether your knowledge becomes living wisdom or just another forgotten note. When we first start working, most of our tasks are concrete: writing a report, making a phone call, closing a deal. These skills are easy to learn, easy to apply, and they bring quick results. But if you want to go further, to become a manager, a leader, or even an entrepreneur, concrete skills alone will never be enough. This is where abstract thinking becomes the key. It's no longer about, how do I write this email? But, how do I build a communication strategy for the entire company? It's not just finishing today's task, but creating a system that moves the whole team forward. The problem is, many people fear abstraction. They see it as distant, confusing, or irrelevant to their current job. But that fear is exactly what keeps them stuck. If you only get comfortable with concrete tasks, you'll remain an employee forever. You need to practice thinking at a higher level, even if no one has assigned you that responsibility yet. Imagine you're sitting in a strategy meeting. Some people feel bored, even scroll through their phones, thinking, this doesn't concern me, but others listen closely, reflect, and try to understand how their boss is thinking. Which group do you think will rise faster? Concrete thinking helps you do today's work well, but abstract thinking prepares you for tomorrow. If you only focus on your current tasks, you'll excel in a small box. But if you dare to wrestle with ambiguity, you're training the muscles needed to climb higher levels. Abstract thinking isn't easy, it's true, but think of it like learning a new language. At first, everything feels messy and incomprehensible. Yet if you stay patient, little by little, you start to see patterns. And one day, you'll find yourself using it as naturally as breathing. So instead of avoiding it, train yourself to be curious about broader, more abstract concepts, because those are the very doors that concrete thinking alone will never open for you. We often hear the phrase, step out of your comfort zone, but in reality, it's easier said than done. Why? Because the comfort zone gives us familiarity, safety, and little risk, yet it's the very thing that keeps us stuck, preventing us from ever going beyond our limits. Imagine arriving in a new city, staring at a subway map full of strange colors and symbols. Your first feeling is confusion, maybe even fear. Many people would just cling to the crowd or avoid moving altogether. But if you pause for a few minutes, read carefully, and ride just one stop, you'll realize it's not as hard as you thought. New knowledge, new skills, or new technology are the same way. At first, they feel foreign, overwhelming, but if you have the courage to take even one small step, fear gradually transforms into curiosity, then into confidence that you can master it. The problem is that many people choose to stop. They let fear freeze them in place. And when that happens, every opportunity for growth freezes too. Stepping out of your comfort zone is really just breaking through a thin layer of ice in your mind, the ice of vague fear. Think about the first time you tried running. At first, you couldn't imagine yourself running even 3 miles. But you tried, one small step at a time, then 6 miles, then 13, and one day, you suddenly realize you've completed a full marathon. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean leaping straight into something overwhelming. It simply means trying one small thing today, a conversation with a stranger, a tool you've never used, an idea you never thought you'd test. It's those small steps that create a new zone of growth, a place where you gradually discover your true potential. And only when you dare to step beyond the familiar can you touch the opportunities waiting ahead. Attitude is the starting point, but attitude alone isn't enough. To learn effectively, you need a method. Many people have the desire to grow, but they struggle with where to begin. The result? They learn randomly, skimming one article, jumping to another video, but end up confused, with no system at all. So what is a learning method? Imagine you're trying to learn about running. If you just listen to random tips from different people, you'll be overwhelmed with conflicting advice. But if you know how to filter information, find reliable sources, cross-check, and extract common principles, you'll quickly build a solid foundation. One useful method is what researchers call a literature review, reading widely, filtering, comparing, and synthesizing from many sources. It's like starting with 30 websites, then narrowing down to 5 high-quality ones that you follow consistently. Another smart approach is learning from trusted experts. Instead of chasing every piece of advice online, choose a handful of voices with credibility and real-world results, and stick with them over the long term. A good method also requires active verification. Don't accept everything as absolute truth. Test it, make mistakes, adjust, and that's how you'll discover what truly works for you. Learning with a method is like learning an instrument. If you just play by instinct, you'll stumble endlessly. But with a roadmap, basic techniques, and steady practice, you'll progress far more quickly. So if you want sustainable growth, don't just learn based on impulse. Build a clear approach, select sources, synthesize insights, test and practice, then reflect. That's the path to turning learning into true power. Have you ever asked yourself, what makes someone truly stand out? Two people can read the same book, attend the same class, yet one remains forgettable, while the other shines. The secret lies in this: they discover and nurture their unique essence. Your essence isn't something you copy from others. It's forged through the way you absorb knowledge, transform it, filter it, and shape it into your own style. Others may hand you tools, but only you can turn them into your personal signature. Think about leaders, artists, or even teachers you've met. What makes them memorable isn't just their intelligence or skill, it's their essence. A way of thinking and acting that no one else could ever duplicate. I remember when I first applied the flipped classroom model. At first, it was just an idea from a book, but over time, I shaped it into my own version, blending it with critical thinking, new technologies, and the real needs of my students. The result wasn't a copy, it was a model stamped with my own identity. This is what many people miss. Learning isn't about becoming a better copy of someone else, it's about becoming the most unique version of yourself. When you cultivate your essence, you no longer worry about being replaced. You create value in a way no one else can. And that, more than any diploma or certificate, becomes the true foundation of lasting success. So each time you learn, don't just ask, what did I understand? Ask also, how will I turn this into my personal mark? That question will carry you further than any exam ever could. There's a common misconception. Many people believe learning deeply and learning broadly are two opposing paths. Either you become a specialist digging into one field, or you just know a little bit about everything. But the truth is, they aren't opposites, they complement and strengthen each other. Deep learning is like planting roots firmly into the soil. Those roots keep you grounded, not easily shaken by the noise of endless information. Broad learning, on the other hand, is like branches reaching in many directions, allowing you to connect, create, and see unexpected relationships. Someone who learns deeply but not broadly can trap themselves in their own box, skilled in their craft but blind to the bigger picture. Someone who learns broadly without depth is like a tree without roots, easily toppled by the wind. I'm reminded of the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare was fast but shallow. The tortoise was slow but steady. Yet in today's world, to succeed, you can't just be the tortoise or just the hare. You need the tortoise's depth and the hare's agility. Someone who learns deeply often finds it easier to learn broadly. Once you truly understand the roots of a subject, you can quickly connect it to many other fields. Conversely, when you're used to learning broadly, exposed to diverse ideas, you develop the intuition to know which areas are worth digging into. The same applies to organizations. A company that only excels in technical expertise but never learns broadly will struggle to innovate. Conversely, one that chases trends without digging into its core values will quickly lose its direction. That's why deep and broad learning isn't an either-or choice. It's a both-and journey. The deeper you dig, the easier it becomes to expand. The broader you expand, the more reasons you find to dig deep. In the end, both will carry you toward the best version of yourself. After walking through this journey, from transforming knowledge, applying it in real life, to learning both deeply and broadly, you've probably realized one thing. Learning isn't about piling up facts. It's about turning what you know into how you live. Every step on this path requires courage, the courage to leave your comfort zone, to embrace abstract thinking, to discover your unique essence. It's not a one-day journey, it's a lifelong one. Remember, the world changes every single day. The winners aren't the ones who know the most, but the ones who learn the fastest, adapt the best, and dare to turn knowledge into action. And that's the very spirit of this channel. Different thinking. Not just sharing theories, but offering battle-tested mindsets you can apply right away in your life and work. If you found this video valuable, hit subscribe to Different Thinking today. As a thank you, I prepared a special gift for you, a free ebook, Practical Mindset in 7 Steps. You can download it right now in the description or the pinned comment below. And don't forget to watch the full playlist. Just click the link in the description. Our journey together is only beginning.